Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I have to do the show the old-fashioned way. Computer ain't working. My programs ain't working right. I have to record this with my phone and then paste it on and run it through video editor. Anyway, see, the other one that I normally use does all that process for me, and it makes it much easier. But there's some sort of a virus in it or something, and I can't even remove it off of my computer. What a pain. But anyway, what the chart we're looking at right here is federal government current expenditures and interest payments. Now, you remember that they've raised rates. And you know what we see here? Well, let's focus in a little bit here. I'll focus in a little bit. You can see where it's taken off. This is the amount of interest that they have to pay. Their interest expenditures now are more than their total budget used to be. And it's growing fast. It's out of control. And so what they're having to take out more debt. Janet Yellen's having to take out more debt, and they're doing a lot of it in the long end of the yield curve. And the reason why is in the short end of the yield curve, they pay a higher rate of interest. So over 5%. And in the short end, they can get it for just slightly over 4%, which is still high, but they're locking in for a much longer period of time. They're locking in for 10, even 30 years. The United States economy into a high interest debt payments. But it doesn't end there. We got an awful lot of... Now, did you know that on equities, stocks and stuff like that, 70% of what they used to make, bonds now make 70%, and there's no risk associated. So, of course, a lot of people are going to the bond market, sucking up an awful lot of big money. And what happens is we see every couple days, yields will go up. They'll spike upwards, right? And then we see the yields go back down again. This is because money's moving in. Money's on the move right now. So it's moving into the bond market. It's moving into places where they can get safe, secure yield because, the treasuries are not going to default on treasuries. They're just going to print more money. The situation that we're in right now, where it's ultimately they're going to pile in and then they're going to pile out someplace else. And this is what money started to do during before the Great Depression. Just before the Great Depression happened, they said about it. They said that money was moving around within the economy like a cannonball on the deck of a ship in a storm. So it would come out of one thing and then it would roll. The cannonball like rolls across the deck, That's what's happening. It's uncontrolled. The money flows starting to move around. And so they pile out of the banks because they get a higher rate. They don't get a high rate of return on their money and investment in the bank. Very poor interest rate. So they pile their money into something else. The deposits flee out of the bank goes down, and then what they do is the government takes the bank and merges it with another bank, or bails the bank out, or whatever. In the corporations out there, like take Yellow for instance, they can't get loans at a decent rate of interest. And plus, what we're seeing is this revaluation of everything in the system at these new higher rates. What do they call that? They have a name for it. When they reassess everything. So the trouble's just on the front edge of starting to happen with all this. Let's take a look here at this. There's growing focus on CBDCs. As you can see by this chart, the purple countries that are in purple are already experimenting. They're already in experimentation phase, and that includes us here in Canada. And the United States is in the research phase. Only one country's in the implementation phase, and that's China. But you can see, just looking at this picture of the globe, how CBDCs are spreading around the globe like a parasite. In other words, they're coming. And they have to come. This whole debt crisis that they've created over here, they're going to have a human problem. A massive human problem if they don't go over to a CBDC and put the money out there to stop the humanity problem, a humanitarian crisis of overwhelming proportions that could turn into a, what's the word I would look for? A human stampede would be a great term, but also it could turn into civil unrest on a massive scale like we've never ever seen before in history. Stores can't stay open. If they open up and they get people coming in and who just start to loot the store indiscriminately, they can't afford to stay in business. So they have to close their doors. When this starts to take place, then that part of town starts to disintegrate. Well, I don't care what city you're in, that part of the city starts to disintegrate because the stores start closing, boarding up, and everything else. It only gets worse. It spreads as the people get more and more desperate. And now it's changing. It's not so much... It used to be exclusively like high-end shops and things like that. You know, places that sell diamonds and jewelry and stuff, and they would go in and smash and grab. It's changing. It's even running in the grocery stores now. People are going to go inside and grab a whole bunch of meat and go running out the door with their meat. Because they're going to... And you think this is just starting. So then where are you going to shop? If the grocery stores can't, in your town, get to a point, like say a year or 2 years from now, if the grocery store gets to a point where there's so many smash and grabs going on because of hungry people that are absolutely desperate, you just can't stop them. I mean, they could crash a truck through your front window of the store and 50 of them jump out and start grabbing hamburgers. I'm not laughing about this. This is serious, so. You know? And then the grocery store closes. And then they decide to attack the grocery store next door. And first thing you know, all the grocery stores are gone in your community. Where are you going to get food? This is the kind of crisis that the CBDC can avert. And so they're going to have to go to a CBDC because how it averts it is, and this is what they're going to do. All of the people out there who are low income, who are hungry, and who are smashing into the grocery stores or whatever, and getting more and worse, they're going to pacify them by sending them a little card in the mail or giving it to them, distributing these little cards, a little plastic card, and then they're going to put money on it for them, directly from the Fed. This is their answer. Well, yeah, this will work in the short term, because when they first start giving money to everybody who has a pulse, get like, say, $2,000 a month, right? Everybody gets it. You just have to have a pulse to get it, okay? So they first start squirting out all this money everywhere, just indiscriminately, just squirting money. It's like a money sprayer going everywhere. The value of that money won't be that bad. I mean, you'll still be able to buy stuff with it. But as a month or two goes by, you'll see it only buys half as much. And then it'll speed up. This will speed up the hyperinflation tremendously, because you just can't solve the world's hunger crisis, solve all the world's crisis just by giving them money without destroying the value of what you're buying with that money. And then what they'll do is they can just keep adding zeros to this enables them too, with these CBDCs, just to keep adding more zeros to the CBDCs. And they can keep this game going for quite a little bit longer, to where in the end they can keep the game going until $1 trillion has the same purchasing power right now as $1 does. And this is why I've been telling you guys. It doesn't matter if you got $10 million or $5 million or even $1 million for your retirement. This is what they're going to do to you. And you can't hold them back. You know, we can complain all we want. We can say, oh, we don't like CBDCs, whatever. This is their solution to the problem that they're creating, ultimately. But it's no solution, because ultimately where it's going to go is where I've told you. So, anyway, guys, let's move on. Take a look at the silver price today. $22.69 for silver. Cryptocurrencies is at 29,556. Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 332 points on the day. Let's take a look now at the crude oil. Is at 81.64 for crude oil. Bonds and rates. Bonds and rates are, the long end of the yield curve is falling. We're looking at 10-year is down 5.8. So they are buying them up to get that return on their money, guaranteed return. And what we're looking at is U.S. 30 years at 6.8 down again, too, at 4.18. Taking a look at the U.S. dollar index is 102.61, and the dollar's going up today. What a time we're in for when this system starts to really roll over hard. And it's gonna, inflation hasn't went away. It's starting to come back again. The Fed's gonna keep their hard stance. They're probably gonna raise rates even higher until something breaks in the economy. And then when it breaks, then they'll start, and then that's when the real big disaster starts. It's all coming through. We're at the final end game now, and I mean, it's only a matter of time. And if war don't get us, the financial system will. And I hate to say it, but I mean, we're going to go through a really rough period, and then things are going to get better. But it's going to get worse before things get better. We are going to finally get through with all this stuff. But when we get through with all this stuff, the whole money is not going to be what money is now. Thank you guys for listening to my show. You guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.